Good morning, friends. How good it is to see you. To see you. Oh, my goodness. And even though it's been a while, my name is John McLean, and it's been the privilege of a lifetime to be in service to the truth we know that ultimately, truly, deeply sets people free. And I wish you a good day wherever you are, but especially those folks in northern Arizona. How nice to see you again. By way of housekeeping, I'll be reading one or two things. And if you're the type that likes to take notes, and you might want to in this talk, I would invite you to get out a pen and something to write on now, because midway through this experience, we will be having the opportunity to answer questions as we wrap up this year and prepare ourselves for the next year, which will be the second quarter of the 21st century. If you haven't noticed, a quarter of the 21st century is now over. That said, it is the 29th of December today. And for you, I'm taking my inspiration from the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, who was the principal mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. He was the dean at the chapel at Boston University, among many other things. And he has a beautiful piece called A Blessing at Year End. A Blessing at Year End. And bear with me, because it's worth it. Yes, it's worth it. Blessing at Year End. I remember with gratitude the fruits of the labors of others, which I have shared as part of the normal experience of daily living. I remember the beautiful things that I have seen, heard, and felt, some as a result of seeking on my part, and many that came unheralded unto my path, warming my heart and rejoicing my spirit. I remember the moments of distress that proved to be groundless, and those that taught me profoundly about the evilness of evil and the goodness of good. I remember the new people I have met, from whom I've caught glimpses of the meaning of my own life and the true character of human dignity. I remember the dreams that haunted me during the year, keeping me ever mindful of goals and hopes which I did not realize, but from which I drew inspiration to sustain my life and keep steady my purpose. I remember the awareness of the Spirit of God that sought me out in my aloneness and gave to me a sense of assurance that undercut any despair and confirmed my life with new courage and abiding hope. This is so meaningful for me, because as we say goodbye to 2024, I am taking this time, and I always do at year end, to bring to mind those things that crossed my path or which I set into motion. But I do remember with gratitude the good things that so many people did, my goodness, in your church. And the change that you've been through, positive, yes. Challenging, maybe. But there have been the labors of others, which I drew inspiration from, the beautiful things I have seen. As I recall, because I spent half a year with y'all from January to July, and the drive that I came to love from Santa Fe to Cottonwood. That long drive that gave me opportunities to listen to music and to listen to my own thoughts and to see so many beautiful things, knowing that as I got closer and closer, I would see so many people that I came to care about so much. I remember moments of distress that proved groundless. How much of our lives do we live in fear of things that might happen but never do? But never do. It's part of human nature, isn't it? I remember new people I've met. Plenty of them. And plenty of you, which I carry in my heart. And it did give meaning to my life and a renewed purpose for me, for which I will always be grateful. And indeed, also, Dr. Thurman says, I remember the dreams that haunted me, and I can't say that there were things that haunted me. Disappointments, maybe. Did you have some? I did. Things that I thought that I would carry through on. Things that I hoped would magically appear without me having to do anything to make it happen. But good things. And you know, whatever it is that I did not complete in this year, 2024, I have time ahead of me, as do you. We have time ahead of us. And maybe those things that didn't happen or that we didn't put our full commitment and energy towards, maybe they were things that ultimately weren't that important to us. And that's for us to discern. It's not for us to discern. It's none of my business what's on your heart. It's for each one of us to decide for ourselves what's important. What is important? I do know, without knowing any particulars, that something that is important for all of us is healing that remains to be done yet. Yes, I know that's true for me. Healing that needs to be done only for one purpose, not because anybody's going to yell at me. No one's keeping score. No one's taking my inventory, and I sure the heck am not taking yours. But something, if I knew that I had handled this once and for all, or that I got over a resistance, some kind of resistance that I had, and could be utterly non-resistant to the way things actually are in real life. If I could be in that space, how much more grace-filled would my daily life be? One of the things that I so appreciate about our truth teaching, as we call it, is that, if it's true for me, it's true for you. Walt Whitman wrote about that. For we share a common humanity, don't we? We share an experience which can be difficult. For having the opportunity to be born and to live on this beautiful water planet that we live on. Well, there's a cost for it. But I happen to think that we're getting it cheap. That there is so much good and there is so much opportunity for each one of us ahead of us, yes? Yeah, I know that that's true. And you know also about those things that I worried about that proved to be groundless or never happened. Well, there was probably a solution right behind it that we didn't even see coming. something that headed off at the pass, to use a Roy Rogers term. Head him off at the pass, Dale. But there is some divine energy, a vitality, that when we know that we are in accord with it, is working with us and our behalf at all times. This is what I witnessed this year. This is what I have witnessed consistently since I came into this teaching 40 years ago. And this is something that I know because it is the presence of God. It will be with me next year and as long as I am incarnate here. That I can rely on. I hope you can too. I hope you can too. I'm going to ask you some questions now. Not terribly unique, things that cross our general awareness every now and then. But I invite you to get out that pencil and paper if you want to make some notes. And if you don't want to, great. But I would ask you to sit back in the chair that you're in now. And I know what that room looks like. And I know where you're sitting. I still remember that. And listen to these questions, because no doubt there will be an answer that will come to you very quickly. Very quickly. And if you choose to write that down, you might want to take it with you so you can ponder it as the year comes to a close over the next few days. Or hold it in mind. Hold it in your heart and hold it in your mind that there is something to consider, something to heal, that there is work to be done. And I invite all of us, including me, I'm doing this work too. I've already done it. I've done it twice this week. Because it's worth doing and it accrues to my benefit. The clearer I am and the freer I am to be myself, the more ease and grace I do experience. And that is my hope for every living being. For every living being. So here's a question for you. Am I happy where I am in life right now? Are you happy with your life right now? If yes, write down one thing that you're glad about, that makes you happy. Getting to be with you makes me happy. It does. What about your life rings a note of happiness for you? And if your answer is no, that you're not happy, what note would you like to ring? What would make you happy? Who could I let go of in this new year? Once and for all. Or, what thing could I let go of this year? Who or what thing could I let go of this year? And if I did so, I'd be way ahead. I'd be way ahead. What do I need to forgive myself for right now? What do I need to forgive myself for right now? When did I feel most alive this year? When did I feel most alive this year? What do I want to dedicate the new year to? What would I like to dedicate this new year to? This is the year that I ... This is the year that I... And last, what did I learn about myself this past year? What did I learn about myself this past year? I don't say this to flatter you because I have no idea who will see this ultimately. Because, once it gets out there, it's out in the ether. And maybe somebody in a galaxy far, far away might get this recording somehow. But I will tell you one of the things I learned about myself in the last year, which is how much joy and purpose it gives me to be working with communities. And so for the opportunity that I had with you in 2024, I will forever be grateful for that. Because it also was my happy place. Lucky me. And I know that there's a happy place for you too, yes? Yeah. So no more questions. No more homework. If you did make one or two notes, it's good to keep reflecting on some of these things with such a sense of self-compassion as well, which I will always encourage you to hold yourself in real self-compassion and high regard. Because if you have forgotten, well, that you are the only begotten in whom God is well pleased. And so you might as well stop resisting that truth. And you might as well enjoy it. Please. Please. Having only been a pulpit minister and a full-time work for 20-something years, there are some things that I did on an annual regular basis which I never got tired of. And I'm going to lay that on you right now. But on the last Sunday of every year, I would read something, mostly because I wanted to hear it and because I knew that you would appreciate it. And this is something that is called the Optimist Creed. It was written in 1912 by a gentleman named Christian Larson. In 1912. He was not in Unity, but he was a New Thought writer and speaker and magazine publisher. And he wrote this thing called the Optimist Creed, which you can find online quite easily if you Google Optimist Creed. And this is one of my affirmations for this new year, both for myself and for anybody who can hear these words. And this is a lot. but it has a single focus. It does have a single focus, because embedded in any of these things is the simple truth that, the only begotten is continually being begotten over and over and over and over, and I am that and you are that too. And that we are here with the attributes, the abilities, and the capacities of whatever you consider your higher power to be. And so these are all doable. And yet it is a high aspiration, because as this gentleman writes, he says, I promise myself. I promise myself. I promise to think of myself as a divine being expressing God, to see myself radiant in this God light, to let the light so shine through me that all shall see my God works, and to let the divine vision of my life be known and seen. I promise myself to never doubt my vision, to build a greater sense of faith and to hold to it, to think not of weakness or shortcomings, but as the God power expressing in their stead. I promise myself to expect the God in me to manifest, to admit to no discouragement, to put into life a positive charge, and to express divine love towards all. I promise myself to not be critical, never severe, to refrain from speaking the unkind word, and to help everyone I meet express their divine side. I promise myself to joy in the success of all as I do in my own, to recognize my body as the temple of the living God, to think health, to talk health, to see health, to realize the adequacy of God for my every need. I promise myself to think and speak abundance, to know my never-failing supply in life. I promise myself to be so positive in all my ways as to be a tower of strength to all. Thus, my unity of being is sustained in my awareness of the allness of God. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. And you know, the coolest thing is that we have each other. We have each other to remind each other that we can achieve all of these ways of being. Notice, it was only a way of being, a worldview and a mindset that the writer is talking about. Not about climbing a mountain, not about any quantitative thing, but a way of being. So I don't have to promise myself to see the divine in you, because it's easy for me. As this year comes to a close and a new one is about to begin, I wish you love. I wish you great health. I wish for everybody to know the never-failing supply that is available to all. And I wish you love. God bless you, friends. Thank you for your kind invitation to share with you as we bring this year, an important year in my life, and I hope in yours too, to a beautiful close. And Happy New Year.